compassion, tolerance, and understanding for ourselves and everyone else. We do that right here weekdays at 11 a.m. Make sure you tune in. You never want to miss a show with Motivation Monday, Relationship Tuesday, Wellness Wednesday, Gumbo Talk Thursday, and of course Freedom Friday. This is where I pour into you. I kind of open myself up about things that I've gone through, my story, things that I'm clear about. We like to drop our bags on Fridays, drop our bags, walk into the weekend a little bit lighter, and that's exactly what I plan to do today. We've had a short week with the holiday on Monday and yesterday, so I really want to jump in today. So I hope you take the time to listen to today's show, and if you share it, we do rebroadcast in the evening. We are live on Facebook and Instagram, so if you're interested in sharing it, you can share it on Facebook. On Instagram, y'all know we only last 24 hours. It's only 24 hours there, so you got to be really quick about it. And if you would like to join the WBOK family and the Good Life, make sure you give us a call at 504-400-7127. That is 504-400-7127. You can check out all of our rates and packages online. That is tglradioshow.com. tglradioshow.com. Y'all hear those commercials? Please support them. If you would like your commercial during our show, please give us a call and look online, tglradioshow.com. You can also email me, Eileen, EILEEN, at tglradioshow.com. You see how all that branding works? Yes, tglradio.com on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So this conversation this week has been about tolerance. With everything going on in the world, we can see how it applies in so many different areas. But there's one area that we generally forget about: ourselves. We may show compassion. You may be one of the most compassionate, giving people, but when you go home, you are the most destructive to yourselves. You carry so much guilt. You are self-defeating. You beat up on yourself. And I don't know about you, but I have been that person. And from time to time, I still am that person. I give myself, and I come up here and I want to pour into everybody else, but I have this level of perfection where I have to do A, B, and C so perfectly, or all of these things have to be one way or the other. And I'm like, well, wait, time out. What is this guilt? Why is it affecting me? What is going on? And for you counselors out there, a lot of you call it your inner child. I don't know. For today, that's kind of what we'll call it. But I have learned through a lot of reading and, therapy and just so many things, and just really talking to people and just through life, honestly. So many times we learn our lessons strictly through life that we have to detach. Not sometimes that guilt that is on you, we really need to separate from ourselves, because we are not that guilt. And so many times we see it as the same person, or we see that disappointment in life. That was one for me, disappointment. I was connected to it. I'm like, wait, I am not the disappointment. We have to realize that, the shame, the regrets, or whatever, you are not that. It may have been an experience, but you can separate yourself from that. We need to start observing ourselves. And I actually got a little bit of this from healingyourinnerchild.com. Healingyourinnerchild.com, or healyourinnerchild.com. I actually will be putting it on our Facebook page. So if you are interested in it, you can follow us on social media at TGL Radio Show on Facebook. It is a public page. You do not have to be on Facebook to follow it at TGL Radio Show. It is healyourinnerchild.com. And we need to start observing ourselves and stop judging ourselves. We need to be tolerant of ourselves. And generally, the biggest jump in that is realizing that we even do it. We go around and we handle our business. We're responsible adults, and you just don't know why you just feel so heavy, why you may, wake up feeling exhausted, where, you've taken care of the world, but still you haven't taken care of yourself. So we need to start observing ourselves and stop judging ourselves. Anytime we judge and shame ourselves, we're basically feeding back into it. And we are locking ourselves in a cage that is making it more and more difficult to come out of. So when we can acknowledge it and expose it, that's half the battle. It really is. You want to see clearly. And that's one of the things for me. I'm like, I can see clearly. I am, by no means perfect at it. I am still on my walk. It is a process, but I see clearly and I'm walking into it. I know I have work to do, and I am willing to do that work. Bobby Clark Alexander talked a little bit about that on Wednesday, being willing. We can know that we have something to do and we can acknowledge it, but are we we willing to start tackling it? Are we willing to start tackling it? Do we even want to raise our level of consciousness? That detachment is that first step in the recovery process, separating yourself from the pain, separating yourself from the hurt, because it is not who you are, separating yourself from the rejection. There are many times where, you may have been rejected as a child in some way, form, or fashion, and you may not even consciously remember that it is affecting you. But to this day, it is still a trigger for you. It is still something that when somebody says something or does something, you like click out, or internally you feel like that, and you can't even, there's not words to it, but you just feel it. You just have that contraction feeling in your body, and you don't know what's going on, but it's really set off from something from childhood, and we are acting out of polarized beliefs systems, that a feeling of toxic shame from our core beliefs of who we are, because we're really love and peace and happiness and all of this, but because we have learned something at some point in time, consciously or unconsciously, we're reacting to it. So we want to just start acknowledging it. We want to expose it, because when you do that, it really is half the battle. And not like the G.I. Joe is half the battle. It is half the battle. We want to realize that we are not powerless in this, and we can start to live our lives in another way if we start owning it. If we start owning it and take our power back. It is only by detaching from our inner process enough to start really seeing our reality from a new, healthier perspective that we can start to gain some freedom from our old wounds and our old tapes. Y'all remember, I've always said this, I used to have that tape that played in my head. You're not good enough. You're not worthy enough, from old relationships. And it continued to play in my head. Even though I forgave them, I still hadn't done enough of the work on myself to stop those tapes. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to detach ourselves from those tapes, detach ourselves from those thoughts that play in your mind, or it could be like for a lot of our kids sometimes, boys and girls, when they're in a sport or they miss something, they miss a basket, they miss the ball, they swing and they miss, and like, oh, I'm not good enough, or they strike out. That strikeout isn't who you are. That was one moment in time. It is not who you are. It does not describe who you are. It is not who you are from that moment moving forward. And we really that's what I mean by detaching from it. And so we want to start walking into that. We want to develop a level of consciousness in which we are self-aware, and turning that into a proactive force and changing our relationships with ourselves and our entire lives. And here's the thing about it. When we start doing that, we realize that the people in our lives start to change. And you're like, well, why, my relationships are getting better. Well, the relationships are getting better because you're getting better, because you are healing. And so many times we can't see because of our perspective, but people around us, like, I have all these relationships and they're just, they're not balanced. They're just not working. Well, sometimes it's us. A lot of times it's us. And we just can't see the forest for the trees because we are overgrown with weeds. Literally, we are overgrown with weeds. So we want to, take a moment to open our minds to living differently in the world, as we say each and every day: love, tolerance, compassion, understanding, and have a little bit more compassion for ourselves. We want to relax and enjoy life, developing an observer conscience. That's what they say. And I'm getting some of this from healyourinnerchild.com. Some of this is, just kind of life that I've lived, honestly. We want to have a observer consciousness. And what that means is start taking yourself outside of it. When you find yourself to be hurt or wounded, when you find yourself to be offended, take a step back. Become a little bit tolerant of it and see why you're reacting that way. Instead of having that knee-jerk reaction, take a moment to say, well, why is it affecting me this way? Why do I feel this way? Why is my body contracting? Why am I breaking out in a sweat? Why am I getting, a heat rush? Why am, what is the anger? Where is it coming from? Where's the anxiety? We want to start being observer in our realities. It will help us start developing some compassion for ourselves when we are not necessarily enjoying life. How many times are we going through life feeling like, I'm just not enjoying life? I'm living every day, but I'm not enjoying it. Well, why? Life, we're supposed to be enjoying it, but we're also here for lessons. So if we're not going to if we don't take time to learn those lessons, we are going to continue to be on that cycle. And I don't know about y'all, but the lessons that I've learned is I'm tired of being in the cycles. I want to break it. I want to be happy. I want to, enjoy my family, enjoy my friends, and just live on a higher consciousness and a whole nother level in life. And so, that's what we talk about here. And hopefully, this sets a little bit something in you so that you are able to do the same. We want to release a lot of repressed grief and energy that we are carrying. We want to align ourselves with some emotional healing. We want to align ourselves with emotional healing. And detachment is exactly what that does for us. Detachment allows us to start taking some control of our own internal process. So we want to detach from those negative emotions and start creating good ones. We want to just change the process. That's really what it is. We want to change the process. It allows us to create a space in our lives to start learning how to love ourselves instead of feeling like a victim of ourselves and life. We want to recreate our story. Fridays are about my story. Well, my story was my past. I'm creating a new story, and I'm starting each and every day. This is a new journey each and every day. So what are you doing? And when you are changing something, it's uncomfortable because I've been living a certain way for so long. You've been living a certain way for so long. So that is, it's innate. It's just something that you do unconsciously. It's just, so working on it is going to feel uncomfortable for a little while, but taking those steps to loving yourself and being a little bit more tolerant of yourselves and your feelings is going to lead to, i.e., the good life. That's what the show is all about. So our job is to pay attention to the best of our ability, to be conscious enough to pick up on those messages that we are receiving, to take action in the direction that we feel is necessary, to follow your intuition. You know how you feel. But when you know how you feel, when it's a negative emotion, I want you to stop before you start, before you go off. I want you to just stop for a moment, like take a breath. How many times you'd be like, just take a breath, count to 10. Everybody has a different way of doing it. I want you to just recognize it when it's a negative feeling and start asking yourself, why am I feeling this? Where did it come from? How can I, separate myself from this? This is not me. That ego that goes on in our head. So many times we feel like, the thoughts that are going on in our head, we have to listen to them. No, we don't. It's your ego talking. You do not have to listen to the words that are going on in your mind. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn. Just because you're thinking it does not mean you have to do it. And it really takes so much self-control to just sit there and not react. Lee, Lee. Like, you hear that voice in your mind, and Lee on the other side of the glass, he's looking out. I mean, just stop. Exactly. You hear that in your mind, and it says go. It says call them. It says, respond. It says go off. It send that nasty email. Text them back. Those night text messages or whatever it may be for you. Get up and go see what they're doing. Whatever it is for you, I don't know what it is, but stop yourself. Stop yourself and see why you feel the need to do that. We want to pay attention to what we are doing, and we want to really start unfolding and peeling back the layers. We're kind of like onions, and we're like all in this ball, and there's so many layers, especially depending on, how old you are and what process what part of the journey you are in your life. Say you learned, you had trauma when you were young. Well, you learned a self-defense mechanism to protect yourself from that. And then, maybe in your teen years, something happened. And then at that point, you were like, okay, well, that self-defensive mechanism didn't work, or actually it did work. So I'm going to reinforce that, or I'm going to build up another one. Okay, so now you're in your 20s, and then, there's another type of trauma or another lesson. Okay, well, then there's this other one. And so by the time you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like, think about how much that you have gone through and how much you are trying to cover up. Mask, people call them their representatives. You're hiding behind your representative. How many of us are hiding behind our representative because we aren't tolerant or understanding and forgiving of the feelings that we have inside? So today is about tolerance of ourselves, about loving ourselves, and I want us to start this process of detachment, because that hurt, that regret, that anger, that jealousy, that guilt, that envy, it's not who you are. And so today on Freedom Friday, we are going to drop those bags, and we're going to begin to start. I found there's so many different steps. Some have 12, some have 5, but I found, a 10, nice round number. And we're going to get into those steps of detachment when we come back. So you do not want to miss this show. It is going to help you. It's going to heal you. Even if it just, sets a seed, it will bless you. So this is The Good Life, y'all. Do not move a muscle. We will be right back.
Come on, roll with the RTA. You ask for more and now.
Let's see. I can pull it up on. I'm turning y'all's volume down so I can pull it up on Facebook and see what y'all are saying real quick. I can multitask because I can't see the way that the phone is set up. But I hope y'all are having an amazing week. I know I am thus far. It's been cool. It's been very reflective. I will say that. I've had a very reflective week. I've learned some lessons that I did not know were coming, but have been very helpful and beneficial to myself. Honestly. And I've had to recognize my own, situations where it's been painful or it's been uncomfortable, and why I react the way that I do, and to check myself and to not respond and to go back into healing myself. Because when you heal yourself and you start taking care of yourself, like I said a little bit earlier, those relationships in your life will change as well, because we're reflections. Like attracts like. So if we want something different, we have to do something different. You got to do something different. And so if you're in a relationship with your significant other and y'all aren't necessarily getting along, okay, well, of course the first thing you want to do is fix them, right? Who doesn't? Of course you want to fix them, but slow down. Take a moment and see what aggravates you about them. Are they a procrastinator? Do they, I don't know, whatever it is, they work your nerves. They know how to hit those buttons, better than anybody else. Well, what is it about them that's doing that? Is it something that you actually need to take care of? Are they, maybe they have an addiction to work. Let's just say that. Let's kind of make these easy examples. Do they have an addiction to work, and they're working a lot, they're never home, they're trying to take care of the household or whatever it may be, but you're feeling rejected, lonely, abandoned. Now, of course, they're going to have to need to deal with their stuff, but why are you feeling lonely, rejected, and abandoned? What they're doing may be triggering that, but what you're going through is they're triggering it because there's a wound there. They're triggering it because there's something that needs to be exposed. And so when you take the time to expose those and heal those things, you can have a more thorough conversation with them and say, you know what? I'm dealing with these things and I'm going to work on them, and I acknowledge that they're there and I'm working on healing it, but I need you to know that I'm working on this, and when you do A, B, and C, it really does trigger it and it hurts me, or it is, it has a negative effect. And when you're able to have those conversations in that way, it generally ends up being a lot more productive conversation rather than just going off on somebody. It doesn't really work that way, because when you go off on somebody, their first reaction is to do what? Go off on you. When you go after somebody in a defensive manner, it's just human nature to protect yourself, and then they build up a wall towards you where they don't want to talk to you, and it's all that back and forth, and then you can't even, it's harder to get to that level of understanding and balance. Not saying you're not going to get there, but it just takes a longer process because now that you've hurt each other. So just want to open your mind to a little bit, some of that, so we can start observing, our feelings, be cognizant of them, and start taking our power back. Because really, when you are allowing someone else to anger you, you're giving them your power. And who wants to give somebody else their power? I know I don't. I want to keep it. Real talk. I want to keep it and move it into a different direction. We're about to go back.
Real talk for real times. Good night.
Welcome back to The Good Life with me, Eileen. We are here on Freedom Friday, and we're here to open your mind. We are living the good life right here on WBOK 1230 AM. We are opening minds to living differently in the world with love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding for ourselves and everyone else. We do that right here weekdays at 11 a.m. Make sure you tune in. You never want to miss a show, and please share the show. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. You want to see what's going on in the show? You want to see what I'm wearing? Just follow us. And you can always, if you've enjoyed a show, you can always find us on Facebook and review those shows. You can share them. You can actually even download them if you'd like. And we are live on Instagram. It does only last 24 hours on Instagram, so you got to be fast in that. You got to be quick over there. We are talking about detachment this week, and in so many, not detachment. I'm sorry, y'all. We're using that as a method, but we're talking about tolerance, and so to grow our tolerance, we really need to detach from things. You know, you may be intolerant with, I don't know. I'm trying to see with. Let's just say the color blue. Anything blue drives you crazy. Well, why does it drive you crazy? We want to find out why it drives you crazy. We want to detach from that. So that's why we're having the conversation of detachment, so that we can become a lot more tolerant, and not just of others, but of ourselves. Because when you can become when you can start loving ourselves, that love pours out to each and every one of us. So we got into a little bit of that conversation before, and so now we're going to talk about exactly how we can do that. But here's why. We need to create that detached observer perspective. And we're not talking about, just a spiritual meditation practice. Many people use that type of observation to avoid their feelings. And we're not saying that it's a bad thing. We do need to, a lot of people use all kinds of stuff, drugs, alcohol, and all that to detach. But we want to stop using those methods. We want to actually start doing things that are going to heal them. Chanting and meditation can be invaluable tools, and they're absolutely something, I suggest you start incorporating. But we can acknowledge that these things exist, but unless we are willing to start doing them, we are going to continue to deny those feelings. So, just observing the feelings will not heal them. They will not just fundamentally change because we just say, oh, they exist. We need to, won't make let's say a fear of intimacy. Just because it is doesn't mean to go away. We have to work on these things. We need to feel, we need to experience, and we need to release the negative emotional energy that we've had to heal the wounds of our past and to take the power away from them. That tends to be the part that we don't want to do. We have to feel the pain. We have to go through it. We have to walk through it. We have to do something different if we want to live a better life. So with that being said, I have a couple of steps that we can do because, in life that we've created certain ties with people, certain places, certain things, whatever they are, but they really need to be broken if we want to walk into it. And of course, like I said, detachment is not an easy process, but it will be one that you are so glad that you walked into. So 1, find the reason for your detachment in the person, i.e. thing of attachment. We have to first figure out what it is. And I talked about it a little bit earlier. We have to expose it. We have to acknowledge it. We have to know what it is that we need to detach to so we can be a little bit more tolerant, a little bit loving of ourselves. So ask ourselves why. The first thing to do is find the reason that we need the detachment of the person or the thing, whatever it may be. Some people are attached to their cars. Some people are attached to physical things where, if that thing gets lost, the whole world is going to, just implode. Really? But if that's how you feel, you need to find out why. Maybe there was abandonment in your past, in your childhood, and so you have attached yourself to a thing or your house. How many of us, or your job? Think about that. How many of us are attached to our jobs, where our job is who we are? So if you no longer had your job, it would literally break your identity, and you would not even know what to do with yourselves. How many of us are in that situation? Well, we need to start asking ourselves why. Why? What is it about it that is creating this connection so that if we lost it, it would just be devastating. We need to establish a strong reason that we can depend on as we go deeper down the road of detachment. We need to find that reason, and this reason must be enough to make us decide to detach fully. And the reason will help us in every day as we slowly detach ourselves. And it says it should be progressive, one at a time. There's a big reason that sometimes it won't last. So we need to have a reason to detach. You have to really understand what it is. And this reason, it goes on to say, should make you want to find yourself even during the times that you feel like hope is lost. So number one, we need to find the reason. And, for me, it's like, I want to love myself. I want a better life. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be unhappy. I want to live a good life. I've been there. I've done that. I've been on that hamster wheel. I want to get off the wheel. I don't want to do it anymore. How many of you are just like that? Or at sometimes in your life you've been like that with whatever it may be, but we need to start acknowledging it and detaching ourselves. We need to find the root cause and start looking at how it affects us, how it affects the people around us. Maybe that initially is your root cause. I remember after Katrina, when I was going through my depression and stuff, my root cause for my reason for getting up every day was my son. It wasn't even me at that point. I wasn't loving me enough at that point. It was my son. And I wanted to live a better life, and I wanted to be a better mother for him. So sometimes that's what it takes. And then you can walk into it to begin to love yourself. But you really always have to get back to loving yourself, or it will not last as long as you want it to. Number 2, release. Oh, I love number 2. Release. You need to let it out. Let it out, let it out, let it out. It would be greatly helpful if you release those negative feelings. The longer you keep it in, the harder it will be to get out. Y'all know, y'all heard my story. I told y'all I kept some of that in for 20 years. What are you holding in? You need to release it. It's forgiveness. Did y'all have a falling out with somebody years ago? And you haven't even talked to them in 7 years, but you're still angry about it. Release it. Let it go. Let it go. Detach yourself from that situation. And so many of these times, this anger and this negativity that you're holding on to, it really turns into disease into your body because you're holding it in. You really need to begin to let it go. Let it go. We can only keep so much of our feelings and thoughts to ourselves. And when a time comes, we just blow up. How many of y'all have had that moment where you blow up? Y'all are, especially with like our significant others, because those are the people that are around us the most and, can really hit those buttons sometimes. And you go off on them and it had absolutely nothing to do with what you were upset about. You may not have the best relationship with your father per se. And, your significant other hit a button and all of that resentment that you may have and unforgiveness and bitterness that you have toward, the male figure in your life just went off on them. And they're like, what are you talking about? Why are you so angry? And y'all have this huge argument. And y'all may fix that, but it's that undercover, it's that root bitterness from that past relationship is that what you really need to heal. So that goes back to number 1, finding the reason for your detachment, finding what it is. And number 2 is releasing it. Sometimes you got to cry it out. Men and women, how many times they're like, oh, don't cry. I don't know who told y'all that, because tears can be so healing. Tears can be so healing. You have to let it out. Sometimes there are things that are better left unsaid and unexpressed, but you have to release the toxins. You have to. And you do not have to talk to the person directly to release it. And that's the game we play on ourselves sometimes. Like, I got to go tell them this and no, you don't. You can do it by yourself. Now, if they're willing to have that conversation, absolutely, walk into that so you can both have that healing. But you can do it by yourself. And they'll have some healing, too, with you letting it go because you're not sending out that negativity each and every day. So there are millions of ways to express yourself and release feelings, but, we'd love to keep it as harmless as possible. There is power in our tongue, whether y'all agree with me or not. Stop cursing people. Oh, I wish bad on them. Stop wishing bad on people. Y'all know that's karma's going to come back around on you. Watch what you say and watch what you do because it comes back, and there is power in your tongue, whether you think it or not, I promise. Number 3 is starting little by little. Start small. We always feel like, Lee, I gotta forgive you. You went out on my out bad. Lee's looking at me. No, you didn't, Lee. I'm just playing. You messed up my intro. I'm going to be mad the entire show. Why? No, start little by little, whatever it is. And, how do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time. Start small and you'll end up with something big. We all started from something. It takes time to develop. You don't just have a baby in a day. It takes, a day by day, moment by moment, minute by minute. Take time and start little by little. Start small and then try something a little bit more progressive each and every day so that you can begin to detach. And there are certain things that you can't let go of. Sometimes it's hard. You feel like you can't let go, but I promise you can. Do not tire yourself and don't push yourself too hard, because then you'll feel like, oh, I can't do this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you need to take a moment from it, take a moment from it, walk away, and come back the next day. Number 4, seek and look forward. Seek and look forward. Ask for help. It's one of the big ones I had. I did not like to ask for help. I still don't like to ask for help, but I'm much better about it than I have ever been asking for help. Seek help. Ask somebody. Sometimes it's just you and a friend that, you can bounce things off of. Now, do not tell everybody in your grandma your business. It is not for everyone. You may have that one person that that's like a safe person. And we've said this before, but I really want to reiterate this here on Freedom Friday, is especially when you're in a relationship. Sometimes if there's someone that you can agree upon, the two of you can agree upon as like a safe person that both of you are cool with having conversations with, that's fine. But you telling your family and their family and everybody's business, sometimes that isn't necessarily the best way, unless it's divinely orchestrated. There are some things that are supposed to come out for different reasons, and by no means am I God, and let me not say that. So infinitely, or definitively, I should say. So there are times where it's necessary and there are times where it's not. Just use your discernment and pray for discernment and walk in that. We say seeking help. This will motivate you to go on with with your everyday work while detaching. If you're slowly letting go, you may need something new to hold on to. Hold on to a better future. Stop dwelling on painful yesterday and start looking forward. They say how to heal a wound? Stop touching it. How do you heal a wound? Stop touching it. When you find yourself thinking about them, or you find yourself thinking of the thing or whatever it is, redirect your focus. Seek something else that is productive for you. It may be a workout routine. Every time you find yourself, doing something, maybe go get yourself some new workout tennis shoes, find a new routine, I got a rower. I don't know about y'all. Do something different. But I will say, number 5, there are no shortcuts to this. There's absolutely no shortcuts to detachment. Unfortunately, detachment takes time and it takes practice. It is just like a muscle. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. We need to be aware of this at the very start. We need to be aware of this at the very start, because detachment is not an easy journey. There are no shortcuts and detours. There's no easy way out of it. Attachment to a person, place, thing, whatever it is. Even a viewpoint, a point of view, a theory, you knew that this is where it is. Cognitive dissonance. I had this firm belief, I have this moral belief that this is what it is. And then one day you find out that it's not, and you're like, what? And you just like, what? And then you have to stop. You're like, was my whole life a lie? Did everything that I think and you lose your identity and you lose who you are. Because this one thing isn't true. But that does not mean that your life has to break down. So we want you to, open your mind to that, because it is going to be painful at times. That's, the detachment. You got to, it's pulling the Band-Aid off. It is going to be a little painful, but on the other side of it will be peace, joy, love, understanding. And when you can do that for yourself, and when you're able to project that and offer that to other people, we talk about how the world is 6 degrees of separation. So think about it. If you're able to love yourself and you are able to just offer peace everywhere you go, just by being exactly who you are, think about how that begins to flow. Think about how we can change the world. But we have to change ourselves forward. We have to change ourselves forward. And number 6 is thinking forward and no looking back. You can't look back, y'all. The past is crucial in the process of detachment. We can't get into this black hole that will sink and get so deep. We get caught up in a grief process sometimes, and we just get stuck there. How many of us have, lost a relationship or a marriage, and, that person, it's 10 years later, and you're still on day 1. or, we're at a point in our lives where, everybody has moved forward except us. Let's just say you go to your high school reunion, and, people have walked in their lives and their paths, and you're like, I'm still this 17-year-old kid, not even knowing which way to go. And I'm 45 years old, or whatever it may be for you. We need to start thinking forward and taking power and not be that victim anymore. Lee is giving me the sign. We have to take a quick break. We do have some more ways to walk into our detachment today, because we want to be a little bit more tolerant of ourselves and everyone around us. We want to start owning our process of recovery. We want to not just we want to just not be a victim anymore. We want to start observing ourselves, stop judging ourselves. We want to release the pain, and we want to walk into our freedom, because today's Freedom Friday, and that's what it's all about. We are dropping our bags right here. We are detaching from them, and we're going to walk into the light and the love. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Come on, roll with the RTA. You've asked for more information, and now there's more info at NORTA.com. You can plan your trip ahead of time or on your phone. You can text the stop number to see when the next bus is coming.
Commercial. Good morning, y'all. I hope y'all are enjoying the show. I'm enjoying it myself. I think we all need to be reminded of this every now and then, that the feelings we feel are not necessarily ourselves. They are feelings, and feelings are a process. We have to be cognizant of them. We have to be aware of them. But the feelings do go away. When sometimes you find out information, you just want you're like, figure out why you're doing what you're doing, and then move forward. And again, go through those processes. I'll give you the first ones again. Go through the process of detaching yourselves from them. Number one is finding out, when you do have that moment of, it's a lot of times it's a contraction, or it like kind of holds you, kind of takes your breath away a little bit. Find the reason. Find the reason that you need to detach. Find what it is. A lot of times it's just controlling you, and you want to take your power back. I'm not going to let this control me anymore. I want to live a different life. I want to stop being angry. I want to stop being responsive to everything. I want to, just live. I just want to be happy. How about that? I want to live with some joy. So we want to start asking ourselves why. We want to start beginning to really understand who we are, and really walk in that. How many of us truly know who we are? Some of us do, some of us don't. And honestly, you can't ever really know yourself perfectly. So we're always on this process to understand, because we're growing each and every day. And we want to establish a strong reason that we can depend on to continue to go back to that place and pull ourselves back out, and like really pull out that root of whatever is creating that attachment for us, so we can detach. And then 2, one of my favorites is releasing it, letting it go. We want to let it go, and realizing that this process is not a one-day thing. It's something that you're going to have to take little chunks out each and every day. And, look forward, look for help. You don't always have to do this alone. Let your significant other in on the process. Let your friends know. A lot of times it might be something the two of you need to deal with together, because like attracts like. It is what it is. Wait, I lost my house. And realize that there are no shortcuts and detours in this process. We really need to, how many times have you heard that? Feel the fear and do it anyway. It is painful, yes, but it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. So have any of you kind of dealt with any of these things in your life? I'm trying to go on Facebook so I can follow y'all and see what y'all are saying. Have any of y'all ever dealt with any of these processes? I'm trying to do Facebook and Instagram at the same time so I can see. Or know someone who has. Because a lot of times we can see it in other people, but we can't see it in ourselves. Did I hit something there? Yeah, a lot of times we can see it in other people, but we can't see it in ourselves. And the thing that we generally see in other people is the thing that we need to take care of in ourselves. Go figure. I'm going to make you laugh. I used to tell someone that they were a runner. Guess who was the runner? Me. Go figure. 'Tis life. Okay, well, then you figure out, well, why am I a runner? Why am I doing this? Well, I just didn't want to be disappointed anymore. As simple as that. And then you go back to what were the disappointments that I needed to work on. Oh, well, actually, I guess I'll talk about that when I get back, because Lee's giving me the hand, meaning we are coming back from commercial break.
Wide range of printing services and promotional products. They handle everything from business cards to personalized prescription pads. They even print yard signs, banners, and vehicle magnets. Stop by Universal Printing at 9900 Lake Forest Boulevard in New Orleans East near Reed. Or Give them a call at 504-244-1177. That's 504-244-1177. Come on down to Universal Printing and let the experts handle all of your printing, marketing, and promotional needs so you don't have to.
Y'all drink this? I know, I love it.
When it comes to the voice of the people, we're the choice of the people. New Orleans' own WBOK 1230 AM. Real talk for real times.
With me, Eileen. We are here on Freedom Friday, and we're here to open your mind. We are living the good life right here on WBOK 1230 AM. We are opening minds to living differently in the world with love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding for ourselves and everyone else. We do that right here weekdays at 11 a.m. Make sure you tune in. If you would like to join the Good Life Radio Show, give us a call, 504-400-7127. That is 504-400-7127. If you would like to check out our rates and packages, go on tglradioshow.com. That is tglradioshow.com. Get your commercials played through here. You might be a segment. If it's a business that fits the good life, make sure you go tglradioshow.com and check out our rates and packages. You can actually purchase it right there. Just click the button. It is actually that quick. This week we have been discussing tolerance for ourselves and so many others. We talk about it every day. Open our minds to love, tolerance, compassion, understanding. And so many times we do that for others, but we do not do it for ourselves. And we really find ourselves, being bogged down, being tired, being depressed, being, just emotionally spent. I'm just like, ugh, you're doing it for everybody else, but you're not taking care of yourself. Well, sometimes it's because you have an attachment that you need to detach yourself from. A person, place, or thing. You can be attached to a person. You can be attached to your job, maybe a car. Some people, are literally, their cars have to be perfect, or that could be an outlet. So, but you have to have discernment and see if it's like is it something that's like an addiction? Is it something that you are just crazy behind? That's when you have to start seeing what that issue is. But it's discernment for yourself to see what those things are. And it goes on to, or we go on to say that in detachment, in detachment, you will find yourself. And maybe you'll lose someone instead, but it probably would be, if you do lose them, it's someone you need to be detached from anyway, or it's something that you need to be detached from anyway. Because if someone is supposed to be in your life, trust me, you can't run away from them. I promise. It can only be through my own life lessons. If it's someone that is supposed to be in your life, you will be. And so many times, when you're upset with someone or you're running away from someone, a lot of times it's not because of them. It's not because of them. A lot of times it's because of what you see in them that is reflecting back on you, that you need to detach yourself from. Did I hit somebody there? Let me repeat that. So many times when we're running away from somebody or we see something in them and it aggravates us and it makes us want to go off, that is the exact thing that we need to pay attention to. That is the exact thing that we need to pay attention to and find out what is the deal. Personally, mine was, and if you were watching during the commercial break on Facebook or Instagram, I hit on this a little bit. I wanted to go into it more, mine was disappointed. I had someone tell me, they were like, you're a runner. I was like, I'm not a runner. You're a runner. Like in relationships, I just kind of cut people off. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm just done. You wrong me, and I may forgive you, but yes, you're lane. You're over there. I'm not dealing with you anymore. I know who you are. Okay, cool, fine. But I had to realize why I start doing it. I had to go back to number one. I had to find the reason, and the reason was disappointment. I didn't want to be disappointed anymore. And so it was a protection measure for me to not be disappointed anymore. Because if I could control in my mind, but what can we really control? Nothing. But in my mind, I thought I was doing something. I was controlling people. situations, I was controlling it, so I would not be disappointed, because I was like, I don't be disappointed anymore. I've been disappointed through, in this, that, and the other, with a relationship, or, a marriage, or, school, a bad grade, whatever it may have been, whatever it was. And I don't want to be disappointed anymore. So I'm not going to put myself in a situation, or if I see it coming, I'm going to leave, rather than dealing with those core issues and finding the reason that I needed to detach, or what was triggering me. And so I started going through these points that I'm giving you, finding the reason for the detachment, asking myself why, what is it? What do I need to heal? What do I need to deal with? Because I can't do this forever. It's not going to work. I'm going to get the same lesson until I learn it. So until I stand up to it, until I take my power, until I own it, until I start feeling it and walking through it, it's never going to go away. And here's the deal. Everybody says life is a basket of cherries. It's just, how many you got to get. But it is. You're gonna have another one. And it will get easier every time. Just like I said earlier, it's like a muscle. So when you can start learning these things and acknowledging them and exposing them, you really start, when you're taking your power back, it has less power over you. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little bit competitive. So I like figuring stuff out, and I'm like, oh, I want to deal with that. I want to deal with this. I want to overpower it so I can take my power out. So I can live what I, like to say is the good life. And hopefully you do too. So number one was finding the reason that you needed attachment. Like I said, one of mine was disappointment. I don't want to be disappointed anymore. 2 was release, needing to let it out. Releasing those feelings and releasing what was connected to that disappointment. I am not disappointment. But, when you've had something so long, or maybe yours is guilt, or maybe yours is anger, you are not that. I am not that. But if you continue to let it manifest together, you can begin to think that that's what it is, but you are not. And when you're able to separate yourself from it, you really start to grow. And like I said, number 3 was little by little. You have to do it little by little. It is not going to be easy. But how do you eat the elephant? Little by little, one bite at a time. And that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I offer to each and every one of you. That's what we talk about on Fridays. I'm here to tell a little bit about my story, about to tell you something that I've learned, something that I've dealt with, or something that I'm walking into, because we are all on this journey. We're all on this path. We all have something. So there may be some of you who are listening right now who see yourself in me. There may be some of you listening right now who see your whatever your thing is, in me through this conversation, whether it be guilt, resentment, rejection, disappointment, bitterness. How long have you been bitter? Let it go, little by little. Let it go. And while you let it go, you're going to start loving yourselves, and you'll see the relationship with yourself change, and the relationship with the people around you change. So many times we want to change the other person, but we need to change ourselves, and that's the funny part. That's the trick it plays on us. When we change ourselves, the person's reaction to us changes, therefore they change. Imagine that. When we change ourselves, the person's reaction to us changes, and then we change ourselves. And so number 4 was seek and look forward. Sometimes we need to seek help. We want to start a new beginning. We can try to live that past over and over again. We need to understand the past, but we do not want to live it again. We want a new beginning. We want the good life, a new life. Number 5 was there's no shortcuts and no detours. Detachment takes time, and it takes patience, something I didn't always have a lot of. I don't know about y'all. Y'all have patience? Something I had to work on too. But patience is a virtue. It is a virtue. And I suggest each and every one of you start working a little bit more on patience. I think all of us could use a little bit more of it. And number 6 was thinking forward, not looking back. The past is crucial in the process of detachment. It can be this black hole that we can seek in deeply. Y'all remember the movie with the teacup. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But looking back will only give us reasons to give up. So we want to stop looking back and start looking forward. Even if your progress is a little bit, tap yourself on the back. Be like, you know what? I did something today. I put one foot in front of the other. Whatever it is, start acknowledging your wins. So many times we don't congratulate ourselves on our wins, but I want you to start embracing that. Embrace it. And number 7 is a part of that, forgiveness. Oh my goodness, this is one of the big ones. Lord have mercy. Forgiveness. It is a crucial part in the detachment process, forgiveness. Because we've talked about this. Pride, it can take over at any and every time. And if you crack a window, it will creep in. Pride, it loves to creep in. It loves to overpower you. What's pride? Yes, pride. But do not let pride win. Pride can make you do things that you will regret. Pride will make you say words that you can never take back. Pride can, cut deep. It leaves wounds that you can never fully heal, that leave scars. We need to forgive people. We need to forgive them. We need to forgive ourselves. This will help us, have a deeper peace of mind. It will give us a calming effect. It will release so much, and it's not something. And just like everything on here, it's a process. And the first thing is acknowledging that it exists and exposing it. Just begin by saying, even if it's just every day, saying, I forgive this person for whatever it is. The more you say it, the more it's actually going to resonate in your spirit, even if you don't necessarily feel it. Begin the process. Ask your source, it's God for me. Ask your source for help. God, help me. Please forgive this person. I cannot do it by myself. That's the process. It begins that day. So start forgiveness. It is one of the most crucial pieces of this. And then be willing to heal. We can forgive. And like I said, before, we've had these conversations of forgiveness. You can forgive the other person, but not necessarily forgive yourself. So that forgiveness is a two-edged sword with this detachment process, because we want to heal. And what do they say about healing? Time heals all wounds. It really does. It really does. And wounds do take that time to heal. So just because you don't see it in a day, a week, or a month does not mean it's going to happen. Time really heals all wounds if you allow it to happen. Because sometimes we want to fester. How many of y'all fester? Y'all sip that poison every single day and you expect it to go away. Well, it's not going to go away if you sip it on the poison. Stop sipping on the poison. Let it go. Once you feel that you're in a relationship, sometimes you feel like it gives you more scars than smiles. Sometimes we just sit and rethink where we are in it. What are we doing, and where are we and why? Where are we and why, which goes back to the first one, which is find the reason. Find the reason. And number 9. This is where you start making those turnarounds. Well, healing is obviously the turning around, but number 9 is sometimes it's very difficult, but it's so necessary. Be grateful. Be grateful for the pain. Be grateful for the sorrow. Be grateful for the joy. Be grateful for the hope. Be grateful for the memories. Be grateful for the lesson. Be grateful for the smiles. Be grateful for the scars, the wounds, and the tears. Be grateful for realizing the reason that you are detaching, because that is your road to freedom. Be grateful. There's so many other people and so many other things in this world, and we just need to start being grateful. We can be grateful for the lesson, because once you learn the lesson, you don't have to do it anymore, y'all. So be grateful for the lesson. Detachment is a learning process. It is a journey. Be grateful. Be grateful that toxic person isn't in your life. Be grateful. Be grateful that it may not just be a toxic person. You could be the toxic person to yourself. Be grateful that you aren't, cutting yourself anymore. Be grateful. And last but not least, move forward. Move forward. It's like coming to the last part of a leg in your journey. Weeks, months, or even years of detaching. And sometimes it is a process, but as long as you're moving forward, that's really all that matters. It's time for us to move forward, to walk into our power, to live a good life. There's so many obstacles in our lives, and there's so many that we've surpassed, and so many that we still have to come. It just is what it is. We are all on this journey together, and it's time for us to take our power back, to flaunt our battle scars, face the world with our smiles, like, I have overcome this, I've done this, be proud of ourselves. I want you to walk into it, release your shame, release, judgment of yourself. Be a little bit more tolerant of yourself. And through that journey of being tolerant and loving of yourself, you will find that you are able to do that with other people. And that's what it's about. We're about, what are the 2 lessons? Lee, love yourself and love others. Isn't that the second rule? Other than first, love God. And 2 is love yourself and your neighbor, right? So when we're able to do that and be tolerant of ourselves and be tolerant of our neighbor, what a good life we will lead. Problems aren't always going to just melt away. We are going to have to walk into them, and we have to be willing to do them. And detachment is one of those processes. So I hope you enjoyed the show today. I really got a lot out of it myself, to be perfectly honest, because this is something I'm dealing with personally. And that's what we talk about, here on Friday. We are dropping our bags. And so, I open myself up because I want to live authentically. I hope, I'm able to help someone, and I hope somebody else is, able to help me, when I go out and, people tell me that it's helped them, or, people, talk about their journey or their processes. That's what it's all about. Healing, loving, and honoring ourselves so that we can, transcend, and we can, just move forward and just have better relationships, y'all. Let's just start loving each other and being a little bit more caring. That's what the good life is all about. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. If you enjoyed the show, you can absolutely go share it on all of our social media platforms. That is at TGL Radio Show on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can see it again on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, on Instagram, it's only going to last about 24 hours, so you got to be quick there. But Facebook, it is there, and all of our shows are on Facebook. So if you've enjoyed any, you're just having a moment, you want to go back and see, you can go under the video section and just check one out. Let it pour into your spirit and let me know what you thought about it. We are here on Freedom Friday, y'all. We have dropped your bags. I know I dropped a couple. I'm feeling a little bit lighter, so I hope you enjoy your weekend. It's a good life, y'all. It's Eileen Carter, and I'm out. Radio Show is a proud WBO. Good morning, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. I absolutely appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. I did. I needed it myself. There's so many times where we are holding on to stuff that we need to let go of, and we don't even realize that it is affecting us and our significant others and our family members. And I just want to be happier. I just want to live a good life. And so if you can, tap into those things that you need to heal, it will just manifest greatly in your lives. I know God is working on me, and he has me in this position so that I'm open with all of my stuff. So hopefully it helps someone else, and that's what it's all about. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great weekend, and I am out. I'll say bye to Instagram first. Thanks so much, y'all. See y'all on Monday. Oh, and our Monday show next week will be about love, so make sure y'all tune in. We've gone through all of our core values, compassion, love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding, and so next week will be love. So tune in for that. We'll see you then.